we don't get to hear you talk today.
Yeah, that's what I signed up for, was to hear Grace talk
Like,
for 2 hours.
this is BS.
You're gonna
I
hear
want
me
my
talk
money
plenty.
I demand a refund.
Yeah, a refund on this Bible study. What? Because I'm actually requiring you to like give and not just sit back and receive passively every.
Exactly.
So rude.
You got it. You got hit the nail on the head.
We're just here for snacks. Yeah.
But yeah. Anybody
Well,
want to start?
let's see. I don't know. This week, worked on my car. Drained the. What was frustrating? I flushed the brake fluid, and my pedal is still kind of soft. Like when I first got the car, the pedal was okay, but then I took it to the tail and like I used the brakes a lot, so I'm pretty sure I boiled the brake fluid that was old anyway. So it got some air bubbles in there. So the pedal was soft, so I drained the brake fluid and it was better, but it still wasn't as good as it was before. And so I drained it twice, and because I wanted to do it like before we went Skylar on the tail, and it's still okay, but it's not as good as I wanted it.
Pause.
So
What do you mean the pedal was soft?
it's softer than it was. I mean, it'll still like brake really well.
That's still not explaining what the
Like
pedal being soft.
the brake
means.
pedal, the brake pedal. So like
I mean, when you press it down, it's too easy to go to the floor. It wasn't giving you resistance.
yeah. I
Thank you,
mean,
Mom.
well, it still gives plenty of resistance. It just goes down further than normal. Like there's still plenty there.
So car things that I don't understand are being problematic.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was frustrating because like it took like a couple hours the first time, and I had Heather helping me. And then the second time I was able to do it by myself, and it was still like an hour and a half. And I'm like, after I spent all this time, and it's still not as good as I wanted it to be. So I don't know.
I hate when that happens, don't you, Grace?
Yeah, I can't stand it when my brake pedals are soft. Like that ruins my day.
And then you do it like a second time for an hour and a half. Just like, why bother working on our cars, right?
Yeah, I just can't. Whenever I drain my pedal fluid and it's bubbles everywhere, it's just really frustrating.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know Stephen could do girl talk.
Ugh. I mean, I personally like blowing bubbles, so I don't see what you're complaining about, Stephen.
I like blowing bubbles too, just not in my brake fluid. Like anywhere else.
So do you find that this is something like stuff related to your car is something that's like a chronic source of frustration for you, or is this kind of like just not like super normal? It just kind of like happened, but it's not like a continual source of frustration.
I mean, it's slightly frustrating. Like whenever you have a car that's a performance car, you're always trying to make it better. Something's always breaking on it because you're racing it. There's this saying, the people put on their shirts. It says, "Race it, break it, fix it, repeat," and that's basically the cycle that I'm in right now. I mean, it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's fun.
The reason I ask is because there's a difference between like something that you consistently get frustrated with like all the time, and that might be like pointing to something that's like an area that might be a problem to like look into, versus like, like daily fluctuations and, daily life that just comes and goes, but it's not like a continual like nag that's constantly like triggering you. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know if I would use frustration. I don't know.
Like for example, like I know sometimes I have this one friend who had to like just get rid of Facebook altogether because he would get so frustrated with like people saying stupid stuff on Facebook, like the comments and people's like whatever, and like he was just like couldn't handle it, and like he used to think that other people like were the problem. He's like, well, if other people weren't so dumb all the time, it wouldn't frustrate me, you know? But like that's more indicative of like, okay, what's going on in me that like I'm getting so frustrated and triggered versus like, oh, every now and then something frustrates you, but like you deal with it and it moves on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm.
I don't think it fits into either category because like it is annoying, but I don't get all bent out of shape about it. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess the pedal's a little softer than normal. That's fine. Maybe I'll spend $100 and have a professional do it, but I was trying to save some money.
Is there
So
anything?
you don't turn into a raging green thing
I
that just
don't.
picks it up and smashes it.
I don't.
I feel like your personality type, Steven, being a 9 on the Enneagram, you're like super like chill about almost everything.
Yeah. Like
even you
as long
saying,
as
yeah.
whenever I mean, as long as I had like the Miata and this car, like there's always something I've wanted to get like improve about it, and I'm always working on it. And so like there's always like I wouldn't call it frustration, but like just desire to change it. And you know, something always comes up when you're working on your car. Like it just always does. And I wouldn't say I'm frustrated, it's just that's just life. Some things always pop up and you just gotta expect it and deal with it and move on. It's kind of fun though.
Would you say there's anything specific in your life that, well, again, you being you, probably not. Would you say there's anything specific in your life that you find is a continual source of frustration, like more so than other things that actually bothers you?
I wouldn't say like there's anything that's really bothering me. Like there's always things I want to change about my life and get better, but it's not like I'm not like all frustrated about it. I don't know if that makes sense.
I feel like for you, it actually would be like almost an area of growth to see you get frustrated about something.
You want to see me get frustrated.
But you're so like, yeah, everything's cool. Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna work on getting mad right now, okay? Can you hang out with me while I get really mad?
Yeah, just you guys can just try to make me mad and see what happens.
I feel like I would get frustrated in trying to get you to be frustrated. Anybody else want to share something frustrating? Mom?
I've been sick since January 1, and it's depleted my strength. And so I lost pretty much every day since January, and that's been frustrating.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pneumonia.
Not old pneumonia.
Pneumonia.
It's,
Wow.
yeah. Grace, where did you learn how to do those puns? Old pneumonia, not pneumonia.
I have no idea.
Me neither. Somebody's been a very good influence on you. That's all I can think.
Yeah, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Let's just put it that way.
I thought it was the nut didn't fall too far from the tree.
Do nuts grow on trees? I don't know. I've never seen a nut growing in the wild. Have you?
Have you ever heard of
Yes.
a walnut
Actually, I
tree?
have.
A hickory tree?
Coconuts?
I don't know. Well, coconuts, I guess. Is that a nut or a fruit?
It's a nut, but
Is
it's
the word nut in it?
Yeah, but just because it has the word nut in it doesn't mean it is.
correct, because
That's
a
pretty much
peanut
exactly
is
what
not
it
a
Like
peanut.
pineapples aren't apples, okay?
And they're not out of pine trees either.
But like, I was like, do nuts grow in bushes? Like, I don't know.
Nuts are
Wow.
the seeds that grow in trees.
Cool. Well, apparently I'm just dumb.
We're just stupid.
Do you think there's anything specifically in your life that you feel like constantly is a source of frustration, like triggers you and like gets you all riled up and offended, like consistently?
Well, frustrated and offended are different things.
Kind of.
I'm frustrated most of the time because I just so many things I want to do and get this done, that done, this done, and like I just never seem to resolve any of them. Well, let me rephrase that. I do resolve some things, but my list is very, very long. So I might get one thing out of 30 done, but then I add a couple more. So I'm just always in a state of feeling behind. And losing 5 weeks out of my life didn't help.
Hi, Kitty.
Angel.
The reason why I'm asking all this is because like one of the things like God has been revealing to me is like that frustration is like a good, I mean, you know, like continual frustration, like that can point out something in you that needs work on. So like if you're constantly triggered by something, you know, like over and over again, like it can be tempting to be like, oh well, it's their problem or it's this problem. Like if this was fixed, I wouldn't be frustrated, right? But rather than like actually owning, okay, well, like what is it in me that is causing me to feel frustrated, right? And like it's kind of like I'll talk about cars because Steven understands cars. You know, like a light pops up, like your check engine light or whatever. Like the check engine light isn't the problem. Like, you know, just like covering it up or like ignoring it, like, or like taking a piece of duct tape and covering the light, like doesn't fix the problem. Like it's pointing at that there is a problem that needs to be addressed. And frustration can be like one of those lights, you know, that you check out. So, I didn't know if like, because I'm still like in a journey of walking this out, like, okay, like when I'm feeling frustrated, asking myself questions like, okay, why am I feeling frustrated? Like, what lie am I believing? Like, am I believing like, oh well, if all of this was okay, then I would be okay, right? Like that's a belief system, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if anyone has anything to say along those lines.
I mean, I don't know if I don't know if what I have to say necessarily directly relates to what you're saying. I think it's in the same ballpark. This has been a pretty rough week for me for multiple reasons. One of them is that that list that you sent out on the group, Gracie, about codependency. I went through that and I was pretty startled and concerned by what I found, and kind of did a pretty ongoing, cohesive, in-depth analysis of, you know, my life, choices I've made, my past, etc. You know, and like, you know, realize that like a lot of things that I have been frustrated by and faulted other people for, which obviously in a situation with two people, everyone has a horse in the race. Everyone, you know, can impact the situation, but like realize that I had some significant codependency issues that have made things worse in a lot of situations in my life. And so I've been kind of just taking a fresh magnifying glass to a lot of my like kind of core beliefs about who I am and what's healthy, what's not healthy, what do I want, how do I get there, you know, and like specifically on the codependency piece, like, you know, I realized I never would have articulated to myself that I have a hard time saying no. Never would have said that. So I'm like, oh, of course I can say no, but it's different. It's like a specific type of saying no. For me, I have a very hard time saying no to helping people, to like investing my time, my heart, my money, my effort in people's lives. And so I'm like, and I've gotten into multiple situations where I've like, it's gotten twisted and I've gotten in way too far, and it's been bad, you know, like what started with good intentions became bad. And so like, I'm trying to reassess, like, okay, where's biblically, like what's healthy, you know, because like Jesus says some things in Matthew that are like, they don't sound healthy, you know, they sound like pretty extreme in terms of this codependency book or whatever. I mean, he says like, oh, if somebody asks you to go a mile, go with them too. If somebody asks for this, you know, give them gas for your shoes, give them your shirt too. You know, like he's pretty like over the top about give to everyone who asks of you and all this kind of stuff. And so it's like, okay, yes, you know. And then there's also this concern of how do you avoid enabling people? You know, like you want to be generous, you want to give, but at a certain point that you start to become part of the problem because you're just
Yes.
propping them up.
Yeah. And encouraging bad behavior and irresponsibility.
Right. And so like where that I'm having a hard time figuring out, and I know I'm speaking in general terms, but it kind of applies to multiple things in my life. You know, I'm having a hard time figuring out like, where's that line? Where's the appropriate line of how much, how much leeway you give someone, how much like, grace, if you will, how much grace you give someone in a situation, and then where you suddenly say like, you know what, okay, this is enough. Like, here's the line. I'm saying no at this point. And I have a hard time figuring that out. I have a hard time, not only do I have a hard time figuring it out, I have a hard time doing it once I've figured it out. And so like, I'm just like, I'm kind of doing a very large scale self reevaluation at this point.
So tie that to frustration.
Well, you know, you feel like in whatever type of scenario, right? I feel like there's a certain standard of following Jesus, of emulating Jesus, that is, I mean, utterly selfless, right? He who denies himself, or he who would come after me, let him first deny himself, pick up his cross and follow me. You know, become imitators of God as beloved children. It's like it's a union with him and a denial of the lust of the flesh and the I want this and all that stuff, to a degree, depending on how you interpret it. You know, whatever. The point I'm saying is like, I sense that high calling to like total selflessness and the laying of yourself down for others. But then like, when you're doing that, you can get to a point where you start to realize that like it's unhealthy or you're being taken advantage of, and
You're making it worse for them.
And and it's like, how do you know where to draw a line, or where to say, you know what, this is not working. I'm not doing this anymore.
You're realizing it's not helping anybody progress in any particular positive direction.
Yeah.
So what
And,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, just to answer your question, I guess my frustration is frustration A with particular situations, and frustration B with uncertainty about how to like find that sweet spot between selfless love and like wisdom with conviction. If that makes sense. You know, wisdom that has the conviction to say no.
It's discernment too.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me that you're saying like part of your frustration is coming from like the realization that much of what you had already thought was cemented like is now actually not, and you're like having to re-question everything and
Yeah.
not knowing, having any idea of like where to land again.
Yeah. Yeah, because I placed an extremely high value on in essence total selflessness, like being able to like essentially like empty yourself for another person, you know, in whatever type of situation, whether it's a relationship or it's someone that you invest in emotionally, financially, in some way, like to just be like, I'm all in, all my chips in the table, I'm here, whatever it takes, whatever the cost, kind of thing. And like that's been my heart, because that's what I see in Jesus. I mean, he was all in for us, right? And so I have this sense that like, well, that's what we're called to, you know, and like, but somehow it can get twisted when like you get into these codependency things where like you're trying to be that way towards someone, but it isn't impacting them the way that it should, and instead you're enabling them. And it's like, how would Jesus handle that? Like, what would he have done if he's like loving someone selflessly and they were, you know, taking advantage? Is that even possible? Like, can you take advantage of Jesus? I don't know. And so
I think Jesus recognized that your good works and your efforts can be wasted on certain people. He asked his disciples to go to town to town to town. And if they don't want to hear anything you have to say, if you can't do any miracles there because their faith is bad or whatever, then shake the dust off your feet and leave and go to somewhere else where it's actually beneficial and is going to have some sort of fruit of your labors.
yeah.
Real quick, first of all, welcome Patrick. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, everyone.
So today, Patrick, we are doing something a little different. We've been going through Hebrews and it's been really heavy, and we've been doing it for like 7 weeks in a row. And today, as I was preparing, I just kind of felt strongly that like today was just supposed to be a time of like actually connecting, and still like talking about God and the Word, but like kind of like in a different, like not going like systematically through a chapter, but kind of like just talking about our lives and like maybe what lies we're believing, or like what's been frustrating. So the question was like, what's been frustrating you recently? And Skylar was sharing. And just real quick to clarify, I sent out, we've been reading and learning about codependency in like this book we've been reading, Keep Your Love On by Danny Silk. And I also found this other book called Codependent No More, and they have a list of like all these different traits that are characteristic of people that are in codependent relationships. And I sent out the list to several people here, Stephen, Skylar, and Renee. And that's what Skylar was talking about. He read through some of the lists and the characteristics and realized that like he was kind of surprised that like a lot of them applied to him. And so like one of the things he's been frustrated with is realizing that, and specifically like when it comes to like providing, like where's the line between being selfless, radically selfless, like the verses you quoted about like if someone asks you for your shoes, give them your shirt too. If someone asks you to go a mile, go 2 miles, you know. And then on the other hand, like at what point is it becoming like enabling and codependent?
Yeah.
And so I had a thought about that. You said, is it possible to take advantage of Jesus? And So here's where I think the difference is. So like it becomes unhealthy for us to like provide and give when we're doing it in order to get some type of like value response back. So like if I feel like I need to be needed, you know, like if I'm giving like so that people will be like, oh wow, like Skylar is so generous or Skylar is so helpful, and then like you kind of get like that emotional response back, you know, feeling like your worth is now higher because you did that. And like because Jesus, you know, Jesus doesn't come from a place of lack, right? Like Jesus doesn't need his ego to be stroked, right? Like he can give, be rejected, and it not like destroy him, right? Like but sometimes we come at things with like a lack perspective, or like we're trying to like get something filled. So like that's when we are easily taken advantage of, because we keep giving and giving hoping to get something in return, and like we just keep doing it to an unhealthy level because we're trying to get something back, you know. But like Jesus, like he doesn't need that positive, like he's not coming from a place of emptiness and like trying to get filled, right? Like he laid everything out in the line for us out of like love and like knowing that it's not going to hurt him to give, but he also knows like when to walk away, like mom, like what you were saying. It doesn't like do anything to his identity and his value to be rejected, I guess, in a sense. I don't know if that helps, but that's just what came to mind.
Someone asked the question, can you take advantage of Jesus? And I was remembering the 10 lepers that came up to him and asked him to heal them. And he healed them, and 9 of them just ran away. And they didn't want to have anything to do with him after that. But one of them was actually came back and actually thanked him. And his heart was actually moved by what had happened to him to be cured like that. So it was implying that those 9 people, yes, they were very happy they didn't have leprosy anymore. And I'm sure there was a part of satisfaction on Jesus's part that they can go home to their families. And that all that's fine and Jim Danny, that's good. And yet, pretty much all the things that he does is to show people who he is, how awesome he is, and because he wants us to have a really deep, intimate relationship with him. And these people weren't the least bit interested in a relationship with him. But the one of the 10 was. And so, yeah, he did something good, and he didn't get the relationship in return that he would like to have had, but he's also accepting of it. He knew that that was a possibility, but he went ahead and did it anyway. It was no big deal. But they basically took advantage of him. It was like a free doctor visit, and then you go home and go on as though nothing, you know, other than the fact that you're cured of leprosy, is no big deal.
Yeah, but see, Jesus was willing, like he was willing to give knowing that he would be turned down, right? A lot of people, like a lot of the time we give something because we also want to like a return, right? And some, not necessarily like monetarily or, you know, physically, but like some type of like emotional return. Like
feel appreciated.
Yeah, like it would be really silly. Like can you imagine Jesus, like, you know, carrying his cross and like, you know, dying, being crucified, and he's going, Father, I take it back. I don't want to save any of these people. They don't appreciate me. They don't care what I've done for them. Like I did all these miracles and now they're crucifying me. And like, he's like getting all torn up inside and destroyed because like his value wasn't like reciprocated. And it's just like, no, like Jesus didn't do that. Like he knew that like that would happen. Right. So he didn't let it like ruin him to like give. Right. So it's like, what is the reason you're giving something? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. That's just what I thought about it.
Yeah, like Jesus was saying, if you're don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. If you're doing good for other people, don't go bragging about it, because your heaven is in reward, not here on this earth for what you do.
I don't think like, I mean, Skylar, like the fact that it is a concern of your heart makes me think that you're probably in a good place. I think it's more to be worried about when people get wrapped up and they can't even see what they're doing, when they're in this codependent place where they're like, I help people. My life is in shambles. I just help people. That's what I do. I love to help you. I'd love to give you money. I don't have any money in my budget, but I'd love to give you the money I have. I like to help. I just love to help. It's what God called me to, you know. It's when they get in this like weird, like I've seen it before, this weird like blanket of deception where they just don't know that they're destroying themselves by being so available for other people. I don't think it's bad to want to help people because it makes you feel good. God designed us that way.
Yeah.
But like Grace said, like if it's, when you get into the deeper level of things, like I don't give a butt about my roommates. I don't, but I love them because I spend time with the Lord and the Lord loves him. And the more time I spend with him, the more his burdens just sort of override my own. And I have this love in my heart for them that would not be there naturally. No way, get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. Go away. But but I've noticed like Jesus's MO was I do what I see the Father doing. So it's just like, I mean, it might be a good practice. Like if you think that's happening, just ask yourself, like, Lord, what are you doing in that person's life? And I think that even from doing that, you just step into faith and you step into like, I think sometimes even like your emotions being inclined to do what the Father wants to do in that person's life. And sometimes it does look like, oh, I'm going to love you, I'm going to give sacrificially. Sometimes it looks like, who are my mother and my brothers, but those who obey the word of God and hear the word of God and do it. I don't want to talk to them right now. They don't need me. So yeah, it just varies. But I know like I've had a lot of success in that area I've had a lot of failure in that area too, on the other side of things where I've become like, what's the word for a person who doesn't feel anything at all? Sociopath?
No empathy for other people.
Yeah. So I've been like that. We're trying to fix it myself, trying to fix like my own, like, oh, I'm too available. I feel tired because I'm helping people. I can't say no when people ask for help. I've tried to fix it myself. And I've ended up on the other side of the coin where people were like, dude, why are you mean, man? What's wrong with you? So it's a journey, but I think you're in a healthy place. The fact that you're questioning it and you're saying like, I want to think about this. Like the fact that you're aware of it means you're not deceived, which is good. It's a good place to be.
Patrick, you bring up a good point, because like wanting to help someone isn't bad, obviously, in and of itself, right? It becomes bad and it becomes a codependent thing. And that's why codependency is like so subtle and sneaky, because it's like, it's not bad things usually. It's not like, oh, you're murdering, obviously that's bad, like, or you're not killing anyone, you're helping someone, right? But it becomes codependent when you're like, I'm not okay unless they're okay. Like, I won't be okay if they're not okay, and I need to make them okay so that I can be okay, right? That's when it becomes bad. Like, we didn't see that in Jesus's life, he was able to be like, okay, and like when someone would reject him, he didn't let that crush him and like prevent him from like still living an abundant life, so that's it.
I
Also,
think
those verses that you were referring to, like going the extra mile, turning the cheek, are like some people interpret it as ways to actually subvert the power structure of that time. I'm gonna put a link in the chat, but I'm gonna read what it says. So like at the time of Jesus, striking backhand a person was like showing like you're like the other person is like a lower class. And so like if somebody slapped you and you turn the other cheek, they were forced to like slap you with the front hand, which would mean that they're actually on the same level as you. And you wouldn't slap them with the other hand because that was your left hand, and you wouldn't do that to somebody because that's what you use to like go to the bathroom and stuff. And so like by turning the other cheek, you're saying you need to like look at me as an equal and not somebody of the same. You need to look at me as an equal, not somebody as a lower class than you. And then with the giving your shirt off your back also, like that was like being naked is actually seen as a shame to the viewer, not just the person who's naked. So like that actually as shaming, like if you like take off your clothes, you actually bring shame to the people that are seeing as well, just in that culture. So you're bringing shame on them by like taking off everything as well. And then like for the going the extra mile, it says like Romans, like a soldier could like force you to walk an extra mile, but like if it was seen that they were forcing you to walk more than that, like there could be discipline for them because they weren't allowed to do that. So like it kind of made them like uneasy just in that culture. So just like it wasn't just the way, like he wasn't just saying like take everything lying down. He was actually like subverting the power structures of that time.
That's
And like
interesting.
and that
And
link
like
explains it in the chat.
That's really good. I know like the self-evaluation lists. I think self-evaluation lists should be like on email. It should be an email list where they give you 10% of it every week. Because it can be so overwhelming. Because like the first time I looked at the triangle of codependency, I whispered to my neighbor, I was like, I'm a monster. Like it's just so much to take in at once.
Monster. Yeah, no, Stephen, that was really good because like there's so much stuff in the Bible that we just read through our own lens in the 21st century, but like we don't actually have any idea what it meant to them in that culture. Chris Valentin gave a message Patrick, you were there about women, talking about women and like all the verses that seem to like limit or restrict women in church, like was actually like way different. And like we just see it through our lens, but like how actually like Paul was like actually raising up women. But like I don't need to get into that. But the point is like reading it in context of that culture is so vital to actually understanding what he means rather than just assuming he meant what we think it means in the 21st century. So yeah. Ma.
I think it's a very common trait for humans to like to try to see a lot of things of life black and white, when in actuality there's a lot of shades of gray. And one can think that if they're doing good and trying to be helpful for someone, that the black and white perspective on that is if I do good, they'll get better. But life isn't always like that. Sometimes they fall somewhere short of that, anywhere between not at all and to magnificently and in between. And so when God says that, calls himself our Father, it really helps give us a different perspective of the shades of gray of helping people and the outcome. Like if you're a mom or a dad and you've got kids and you want to be very helpful to them and nurturing to them, and this sacrifice and giving, and you take away this part of your life so you can devote it to this part of their children, doing that for them instead. You can see in your own children the negative consequences of parents giving too much and doing too much. It's called they turn into spoiled brats. If you don't force them, if they do not do what they're responsible for doing at their age when they're totally capable, they are going to never learn how to be responsible. They're never going to be able to learn how to clean up their room. When they go to school, they're going to have really bad manners because in a social setting, they're expected to behave a certain way towards others. But if their parents always let them get away with it, then they're going to be totally unprepared for behaving properly outside of the home situation. If every time they don't do their homework because they don't want to, or for whatever reason, you do it for them, they're not going to learn anything. So there's a lot of different things you can do as a parent that is too much good, too much help, because you're actually being detrimental to the child. You're stopping them from growing, learning how to be independent, how to be responsible, how to behave properly, how to be sensitive to other people, to learn their manners. And so you can do the same thing to adults and have the same negative consequences. There comes a point, like Skylar was saying, you're an enabler. You're taking away their incentive to grow and mature and to help themselves. And why should they help themselves if you are going to bail them out in every situation all the time? You're actually causing more harm. And so as we get older and we have this experience, maybe this experience with their kids, or experience with our neighbors, church members, co-workers, whatever, it's a constant learning experience through our lives. And so we start off with these black and white ideals that if I do this, this will happen. And then we realize when we're in that situation, it's not turning out like we thought. And so like Skylar, he's reevaluating and realizing that being so sacrificial isn't getting the results that you thought it would. And then you do realize there is a point where some people with some types of help is different than other people with other kinds of help, and one's helping and one's not.
And clearly my mom raised me perfect because I'm just an incredible human being all around.
I knew not to be an enabler for you. I had to prepare you for the world, and I did not baby you. I had expectations.
Except for that one school project you just did for me entirely, because I just had an emotional breakdown. I couldn't do it.
You have an emotional breakdown with math. What project did I do?
There was this one assignment where it was stupid. It was for English, and we had to like write a
Tell
satire.
'em.
No, it was a satire. It was a satire irony or something. Like,
I
and
remember that.
and it was like I just like couldn't deal with it for whatever reason. I just like completely had a meltdown, and so like you just like screw it, and you wrote the stupid thing, and it was
Once, just because I couldn't bear to see you have an emotional breakdown. The bills for the psychiatrist were going to be astronomical. But you did all your work before and after, so it's okay.
it's fine. I just had to throw that in there. Ugh. Anyways,
And I rewarded you financially for good grades. But if they weren't good, you didn't get anything. If they were bad, you had to pay me.
yeah, I know.
So you couldn't just slack off with no repercussions.
So what you're saying is that you trained her to live with a performance mindset.
Shut up, Skylar. Yes.
No, only for certain expectations. There are behaviors that were acceptable, some that were not, and some didn't matter. Like which, I wasn't micromanaging what she wore, but some things were inappropriate or some things were whatever. It's like,
Mom, I wore butterfly wings to school in 11th grade. She definitely wasn't
I allow that.
micromanaging what I wore to school.
like when
Anyway,
a toddler is you want them to learn how to get dressed, and for the most part, you don't care what they wear. But if it's like 3 feet of snow outside and it's below zero, you don't want them wearing flip-flop shorts and a tank top. But if they're going to wear pants and a sweater, and you don't care what color it is, that's totally different. There is micromanaging, and then there's
the helicopter mom.
no guidance at all. Yeah.
Anyways, bring you back. Did any of that like touch base or resonate with you, Sky?
Yeah, it does.
Any primary takeaways from that?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated all of your insights. I think Patrick's comment that, like, if you're aware of an issue and trying to like intelligently navigate it, you're probably in a lot better shape than if you're just oblivious to it. And Stephen's, insights there, like, hey, look, these passages might not necessarily completely mean what you think they mean all the time, and so like be careful about assuming that you know exactly what the Bible says if you're just basing your core convictions on like one or two verses,
Good stuff.
And I think for me, it's just going to be a matter of like, navigating this in particular situations in my life, and like, really asking myself like where, like Patrick mentioned, that Jesus did what he saw the Father doing, and like asking myself like, okay, what is the Father doing here? Is this a selfless love moment, or is this a like, whatever you want to call it? I don't really like the term tough love because that has sort of odd connotations sometimes, but I mean, that sort of thing. Like, is this a selfless love moment, or is this a laying a boundary moment? Is this a saying, I'm not okay with this moment? Is this because I think, because I think I have also been very, due to things that I've gone through, I've learned to be very conflict averse. And
Same.
And like, so even like having a conversation about a topic of any kind, you name it, in any relational scenario with someone that I know is likely to upset them or like bring some kind of a negative emotional response, I'm like feeling super squirmy and like will find any excuse I can to avoid having that conversation, and so like
Squirmy.
Yes, thank you for that visual.
That's sign language. That's sign language for squirmy.
Yeah, and so like, I mean, there's a tiny kernel of something that's like sort of good in that maybe, which is like, that you want to be considerate of other people's feelings, and like not just like throw grenades into everybody's lives everywhere you go. But on the other hand, I think I've just gone way too far to an extreme in like just avoiding issues, because then things are undealt with, and things that were little become big over time, undealt with, and um, so like I and I think for me to loop it back into the codependency thing, like I really want people to think well of me. I want people to think like I'm helpful to them, like I'm adding value to their life, and so like if I come into a scenario and I like, this isn't okay, you need to make changes, we need to make changes, whatever, and that's like comes across as hurtful to them or judgmental or negative, like I feel like I'm not actually helping them. I feel that feels negative to me. Like that's the way my mind has been trained. I'm like, this is bad. I don't want that. Like their reaction means bad. But I have to like, I'm like trying to work on rewiring myself to think differently, to like, okay, like their reaction doesn't define whether talking about something is right or not, whether bringing something up is right or not, like, and so like, I have to find a way to be willing to like, have the courage to bring up difficult things, and not be afraid. I think really it just kind of comes down to fear and like pleasing other people and all that. So
The unknown is very scary
yeah,
because your imagination can run wild with a different end result, and we always dwell on the worst.
yeah,
And
Especially if you're me.
that's where like three things that have, because I'm very much on this journey too. Like I was raised in the South. My family was not confrontational. I had like an aunt and an uncle, I think, on my dad's side, and he had problems with her for 20 years of marriage that he didn't bring up. He was on his deathbed. She said something kind of mean to him, and he like 20 years he exploded. Like, I have been taking this from you for decades, woman. And she ran out of the room crying, and then he just died. End of
Oh,
story. Yeah. Yeah.
and they all lived happily ever after. That was a nice story.
So that's the family. That's where my family came from. Two things that have helped me a
It's
lot.
so
Actually,
horrible.
yeah, it's really bad. So my family did not like confrontation, and they handed that to me. Like for me, what has helped, like with, and this is why it's so tough, because there's courage that's involved, and then also like going in a spirit of humility. Because for me, a big deal is like, I don't even know if this is wrong or if it's just bothering me. I don't know if I should have a right to be bothered right now. So going in a spirit of humility, and like for me, like using phrases like, I could be wrong, I could be out to lunch, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I feel this way when this happens. And you should kind of let them know what's going on inside. What's extra scary, as if the initial contact is not scary, what's even scary about that is you do open yourself up for vulnerability, where it's like you are giving them a right to speak into the topic. And so receiving that with love and humility, that ensures, I think, that it goes well, that no big emotions get stirred up or whatever. But it's a really tough thing. I mean, you probably already do this. To be just practically, I like work on my testosterone levels, and that changes it. I'm much more like, it just changes my personality. I'm like, hey, this is bothering me. Please stop doing it. It's not good. That has helped me a lot. It's just on a practical level, that is, with learning and practice and being with roommates that I don't want to ever be with. Those are some things that have kind of helped me.
I'm sensing some tension here with you and the roommates.
No, my roommates are just fine. They're just fine. What's the problem?
Everything's fine. It's fine. I'm good. It's good. It's great.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Something came to my mind. We're talking about the needing to be needed. I think we have to sometimes think of that saying, give someone a fish or teaching them how to fish. So if you just keep on doing all the fishing and you never teach them to fish, you're teaching them to be irresponsible and dependent on you. When you're helping people, are you helping them to learn how to grow and change and take care of themselves and to get skills to get better in wherever their deficiency is, wherever their need is? Or are you just merely doing all the work for them, so you're actually making it impossible for them to learn how to fish, learn how to grow, learn how to be better at whatever it is they need to be better at?
Well,
Because
part of
it's
that
not-
part of that is
Okay, but-
also sometimes people like want giving the fish instead of teaching how to fish is because I want the person to need me, right? Like always come to me to get the fish. And like if they start learning how to fish on their own, they don't need me anymore. And then it's like, then I somehow don't feel valuable because I'm not needed. They don't need me.
And that is definitely one of the things, one of the variables, but I say life is not black and white. There's other variables also.
That's
Sometimes
racist.
it's not so much, huh?
Oh, Stacy.
That's
Oh,
racist.
get it? Okay,
My,
fine.
oh my.
But it's sometimes it's the person who is doing the giving and the sacrificing has a naive sense of, if I do this, then I'm going to fix them. And that's one thing. But to whom are they giving assistance to? The gamut of the variety of the types of people to whom you are helping vary tremendously. Also, there are some people who are just down and out because of dumb, stupid luck. And if you just help them, they can eventually get up and go on their life because you helped them during a bad time. But then there's the other swing of the pendulum of a person who's just totally incapable, has no intention of ever striving for anything, and they're just trying to find some sucker just to bail them out all the time so they can just go on the merry way, and they have every intention of staying down because you are the sap that they've convinced to continue to do stuff for them. It's sort
And
of like
now we're talking about the welfare system in America.
I wouldn't do that. Like back as God is our Father. We have, as parents, at what point do you tell your kid that they have to go get a job and they have to move out instead of living in your basement at 35 years old playing video games all day every day?
Yeah, I'm
Right,
35 years
yeah.
old. I play video games in my own room and not
But
my
do
mom's.
you pay your own way? Do you go out and get a job?
Sometimes when I feel like doing it.
Well, then you're in trouble.
I feel good though. That's all that matters.
Oh,
So I'm
Lord
just saying,
Jesus.
there's just a lot of different scenarios. There's parent to child, there's spouse to spouse, there's siblings, there's your neighbors, there's church members, whatever it is, this human thing. It's the person who's doing the sacrificing and the do-goody thing can be doing it from all different reasons, from all different kinds of people. They could be good because they need to be needed, or it's just because they're just very helpful. But then the recipients, they vary also. So there's just this huge combination of dynamics. And then when you realize that there's more than one factor in play here, it's not just what you had in your imagination as to what you were going to do and how that was going to turn out, then you go, oh, whoops, this is turning out like I thought. I thought I was actually doing God's will, and I was improving this person to blossom, and they're not blossoming at all. You've just been making them deficient because you're doing everything that they're supposed to be learning how to do themselves.
So bringing this back to the initial topic of frustration and triggers and stuff, here's a little exercise I think would be fun for us to do. So like whatever it is in your life that's causing like frustration, like Stephen, whether it be your car pedal being too soft or whatever it is, or
I just hate a car pedal that's too soft.
yeah, you can't have that. Or whether it be, something more serious like what Skylar's talking about, or mom being sick, or whatever's frustrating you. Something I like to play is God versus Satan. Obviously God wins, but so if you're the devil, right? Like, how would you, if you were, if you're trying to mess up someone's life, how would you use this situation? To what goal would you use this situation to bring about in your life versus what is God doing in the situation to bring about in your life? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like trying to imagine like, okay, here's the situation, right? Like what can we imagine like would be Satan's goal and what would God's goal be with whatever's causing us stress?
With the car thing, hold on. This is picking up. Okay. I'm on my phone because I'm gonna take a drive soon. But like with the car thing, like I know that like the temptation is like the car is just gonna be a money pit. There's always something I want to improve on it or spend money on it to like make it faster or handle better. And I know like that's probably one of Satan's goals is to just like make me spend all my money on that. Um, so I
like
know,
an issue of prioritization and investment.
yeah. So I know like I need to like really budget now and like, okay, I'm only gonna spend this much on the car and stuff like that. So I definitely know that's one of the goals that Satan would have with the
So
car.
like him taking a good thing, like a genuine good source of like fun and entertainment and twisting it to make it like ruin your life and make you in debt.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd go in debt.
Well, I'm just being like dramatic.
Yeah. But like I would probably spend all my money on it if I wasn't disciplined.
So how do you think what do you think God's doing?
He's definitely that angel on the shoulder telling you, okay, do you really need this or do you just want it?
I think
And
he
is it the
also is the
best?
one whispering, slow down.
No, he's
Slow
definitely
down.
he's definitely not saying that. He's saying, oh, you're clear on the right, you can pass him on the right. There you go.
Oh,
I'll
Lord.
be back.
That's what he's saying.
Steven and I are actually housemates back in Tennessee. But I'm here right now, and like sometimes we would drive together and like Steven would be driving normally. I'm in the seat like, oh my gosh, slow down. And Steven's like, what? I'm only going 50 over the speed limit. And I'm like,
I normally drive 80 over.
okay. Slightly exaggerating, but not really. So I'm just the old fuddy dud that's like drives 5 miles below the speed limit and drives
I like
super easy.
I like to go fast.
Yeah, believe it or not, I've only gotten one ticket my whole life.
Nice. I used the God card with a ticket one time. I think I was going 18 over the limit. I was going like 48 and a 20. And
Wow.
I was like, I'm
That's
so sorry, officer. I'm trying to get to church before worship starts. I've never been to this church before. And he was just like, slow down, Mr. Smith. Hey, let me go.
Mr. Smith.
I gotta use that one. I'm gonna
I
try
was
it.
being truthful though. I was being truthful. Oh man.
Sorry, I had to. My dogs were booping the fence door trying to get out, so I had to make them unboop. Okay, Patrick, is there
Yes.
anything in your life that it may be a source of stress or annoyance or frustration, and like that you can like play the God versus Satan thing?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to move. Things have been getting too crazy here. Just got in some trouble the other day. I was playing basketball and yeah, just got into it with some guys. And so I talked to my aunt and she said I need to move in. I have to move and go move in with my uncle, Phil, and my cousins, Carlton. And
Are you joking right now?
what about this is what I've been upset about all day. No, that's the
Really?
plot of the Fresh Prince of Bel
I
Air.
was like, wait a minute, this sounds strangely familiar. I'm like,
No.
you played that really well.
Thanks. Thank you. No, I've been a little frustrated. I write best in the mornings. And I need to do it every day. Like I pretty much need to just cognitively, I need to make something daily. It's like all the things that I do in excess, caffeine, food, media, Facebook, everything like that. Like all of that kind of the excess kind of dims a little bit for me or just decreases pretty greatly when my brain has the release from just like writing or creating something. But I do that best in the mornings for the first like 6 hours of the day. But my days have just been slammed for like few weeks now. I wake up at 4:30, I work at 6 a.m., then I come out, I have like 15 minutes, then I do school, and then anything social or anything. So I've just been like super busy. So I'm like not creating as much as I want, and I'm not getting to go to the gym as much as I want. And I like have all the skills to make money doing film work, but I just basically just need like 3 months where I'm not working to get a business off the ground. So I'm working in sales, and I work for a weird like agency where they're a staffing agency. They staffed me to a company who I work for, but they take some of my money. And so now I'm like, I just got paid today, and I'm like looking at my paycheck, and I'm like, what am I paying these people for? It's like a needless middleman. Like they actually just make my job harder. Like they if they were not there, I would be making like hundreds of dollars more potentially, depending on my commissions a month, and then my job would be way easier. My stress levels would be way easier. So that's some angry stuff I think I've been dealing with today. But I just like did drink a bunch of vodka, and I feel a lot better. So that works 10 times out of 10, guys. I'll tell you, if you guys are looking for just kidding. No, I've been dealing with that, like asking the Lord, like, what are you doing? What's the purpose for me here? And then I've been thinking about the film stuff more. There's just not enough time for me to start a production company right now. So having peace with that, and still like I wrote a script while I was on the clock today. So that was kind of a solution for that. But I still have a lot of like, I've got like I said, I've been doing like hormone therapy, and have not been able to go to the gym and work out. So sometimes I think that equals anger, where I'm like, I've testosterone and I haven't been able to lift weights. I'm gonna break something. I'll break this. I'm breaking this keyboard. Man.
You should go to a rage room.
Say what?
You should go to a rage room.
Whenever I get super angry, I'll select my least favorite Blu-ray that I own, and I'll take a hammer, and I go out on the front lawn, and I place it on a rock, and I beat the smack out of it with a hammer.
Wouldn't it be cheaper just to go out and buy some blank ones?
Well, it has to have value. The last one was actually Pitch Perfect 1.
So it has to be self-destructive in order for it to be rewarding.
Mom.
Maybe it does, Stacy. Maybe that's something I need to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just having so much deliverance today.
You could have sold the DVD and gotten some money, or you could have blessed somebody with it and made a friendship bonding instead of destroying it. Because Satan seeks to destroy DVDs.
Okay, yeah, that's his goal in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to rebuy Pitch Perfect 1 now. I freaking love that movie.
So this is my follow-up question for all of us. What have you heard God speaking to you, in these areas? And also, like, what is God's primary way of speaking with you? Like a thought in your head, using other people to tell you something, a verse, being highlighted in the Bible, like seeing a sign, or even like a message from a movie or a book. So those two things, like, what's the primary way that God speaks to you, and like, what has God been saying?
I get a nagging feeling. I get nagged with my conscience.
So God's being one of those nagging wives to you?
No, it's not nagging in a bad way. It's just, I just call it that.
I was joking. It's supposed to be funny.
Okay, good. Because I'm trying a hard time trying to describe it in a way that's not nagging. I just get bombarded with a constant, this has got to change. Priorities have to change. We need to stop my focus on this and put my focus on that. And then you work, and then I would work on taking steps in that direction. And I think most people will agree, regardless of life experience, that if you have certain things that you do in the course of your life, your basic habits in life, to change them does take some time. And So I find that I've been taking baby steps in that direction. I don't have to beat myself up that I didn't come to that decision to do something different. And then the very next day, everything's totally different and changed. But so progress in that direction. So I get promptings from him, thoughts like how things that need work, things that need improvement, different changes in priorities. And it's like a daily, all day thing. So it's kind of the incentive to make changes. And I do, slowly but surely.
Steven, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say like God usually like just puts thoughts in my head, and like he like says like you know what, think about what's important to you in life, don't just do whatever, like actually like prioritize.
Wait, so you're saying make a plan and a list of priorities?
It's in my head, but I guess yeah.
We have this ongoing like thing. I'm a planner, he's not, so I just look for opportunities to like give a little jab in love.
Yeah.
What would you say, either Patrick or Skylar, is God's primary way of speaking to you?
I journal. I like hear the Lord's voice, like talking to my spirit. It's great. I just cry. Just my eyes just start leaking.
Sweating?
Cry. I come up. Say what?
They sweat.
They cry tears of
Elite.
gladness. I don't know. I haven't journaled about this yet, but I think like I have a bad habit of trying to figure it out myself, and a lot of times I'll be satisfied. And I'm sure the Lord, in His mercy, just lets me answer, or He answers it for me, and I think it's me. But I'll try to figure it out in my mind and go with what I think is the best plan to, as far as my perspective of the problem goes. And I think if I choose the right one, a lot of times that won't necessarily end the problem, but it will give meaning to my participation in it and help me not be like, it'll stop causing me distress, I guess. For my specific thing, I think the Lord might be inviting me to like be a little less idealistic, because I'm just like, if only things could be the way I wanted them to be perfectly, then I could be creative, then I could be happy, then I could write every day, then things would be amazing. And I think the Lord's like been inviting me to like, all right, buddy, if you really want to do this, like make a sacrifice right in the afternoons, just figure something out, instead of just worrying about what you don't have as far as time and schedule goes. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
I'm a journaler too. Sky?
I don't think I answered your earlier question about like God versus the devil.
Well, you missed out. Too bad. Just kidding. Go ahead.
You know what? Fine. You don't want to hear it. Whatever.
I don't want to hear you talk anyways.
Cool.
He muted himself. Go ahead.
I mean, I think the devil wants us to be stuck. He wants us to feel stuck. Or I'm thinking of myself specifically, and
Like
these
discouraged.
codependent type situations. Yeah, discouraged, powerless.
Yes.
Like you're at the mercy of
Helpless.
things that are beyond yourself.
Yep.
And there's nothing you can do about it. And then maybe you start to feel like, oh, maybe there is something I can do about it. And then like he will try to discourage you from that and make you feel like, I mean, just in this codependency type scenario, the idea of speaking up in some way to have a conflict, over whatever issue, like the devil tries super hard to discourage that for me. And I mean, I've gotten into a habit of living that way, and I think God is trying to trying to teach me courage and just some discernment, and like, because there have been times in the past where I've come on too strong in situations, and I think I like retreated from that too far. And God is trying to teach me the right balance, the right place of healthy conflict. That like conflict doesn't equal bad. Like conflict is actually necessary and healthy.
That's why you shouldn't
And-
always remove it from everybody.
Right.
Yeah, some of the
And-
worst conflicts I've had have ended up in like the deepest level of intimacy
Oof.
that I've
Yeah.
ever had with another person. Because you go on that journey together, and when you reconcile, it's just all the more sweeter. Which is why I'm excited about fighting with my wife. Because afterward,
You're married now, Patrick?
no, my future wife. I didn't get married since the last time.
Wow, that moved quick.
That was
Like,
quick. You got a word from the Lord. You just jump.
That's what
What's your
happens.
secret, man? What's your secret? I need to know.
That's what happens at ministry school, Stephen. You meet someone, you both love Jesus. Hey, we're both single. Let's just make it happen.
All you
I mean,
gotta do is be sexy.
that's what Chris makes it sound like.
I know Chris Valentin. He's always like, "Hey, squeeze the hand of the boy or girl next to you and give him a wink." He's joking, sort of.
He said 11
Sort-
people have
sort
gotten
of.
married.
What?
11 couples have gotten married because of that junk.
So funny. Oh.
Yeah,
Okay, so second question. What's God been saying, and how does he primarily speak to you? You get to answer 2 in a row since you failed earlier.
Thanks for your encouragement.
So to hear,
Um,
it's one of my
yeah.
primary gifts of the Spirit, encouragement.
Yeah, definitely. uh, I mean, honestly, like this week in particular, I've been struggling to hear from God. In general, he speaks to me often when I'm walking, like, or running or driving. Like, I don't know, something about motion often has an impact on me. Or when I talk to him, like out loud, if I get alone somewhere, like going for a walk, just talking out loud to him, I'll often find like I'll start out feeling like I'm talking to myself, but then like thoughts will be interjected into what I'm saying that are like definitely not things that I was thinking, and it's very clear that has joined the conversation.
Jesus is in the waiting room. He would like to join the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
That is definitely the Holy Spirit immediately responding to you the moment you're bringing stuff up, and it says, "Have you considered this?" And then
Yeah.
you go and you speak that, and yeah, that happens to me a lot too.
Yeah, one of the things that he said to me recently, and most of us have said thoughts, but it's not just like, because it's so hard to people, well, how do you know if it's your thought or if it's God's thought, or like how do you know? And I'm like, well, like, you know how like you have a train of thought that's going, right? It's just kind of like chugging along, but then like there's a different kind of like clarity with the thoughts that come from God or the Holy Spirit. Like let's say I'm just like, a thought is presented to me and I'm just like, inspecting them and kind of like passing them along the conveyor belt, like pretending that like all the thoughts are like just little rocks that I'm like, as they're coming through, and like a God thought will be like a shiny jewel that just like stands out like above the other ones, where it's like it just gets highlighted, like it's like land, pebbles, oh, a diamond. Like it's just like I just know that there's something different about it.
I mean, it's like comes out of nowhere. It's totally the opposite of where your thoughts were. And it's not like you're trying to ponder the different outcomes or whatever. So all of a sudden, out of left field, it goes boom, and there's this different idea, and you think to yourself, "Oh, I never thought of that." So it's not like you were thinking of it and trying to come up with it. It just, bam, it's like right and interrupts your thoughts with something totally out there that you wouldn't have never have come up with. And if you had, you would have thought that was kind of weird, but it just, does that sound familiar? It's just like totally out from left field. It's not something that you came up with. It was just totally contrary to what you were thinking.
Yeah. So one of the things that like one of those thoughts that I had recently, like what God's been saying, because one source of my frustrations have been like it's not, I don't know, like expressing my opinions and trying to explain stuff to people and then like not being understood, or like or people just coming to the exact wrong conclusion. I'm like, did you hear what I said? Like that's not what I said at all. Like people just completely like misinterpreting everything, just not understanding. And like, so like part of it is like me feeling like frustrated because like I'm dealing with that. But like one of the things I heard, like one of those like little diamond thoughts that came is like Jesus was like you know, it's better to like be wrong or deceived, like thinking that you're right but be wrong with a like a positive attitude, than it is to be like absolutely right with like a rotten attitude, right? Because like if you're deceived with a positive attitude, like you're open to like correction and you're open to like changing. But like if like the heart matters more than being right, like you can come at a situation and be right but still be wrong in how you're approaching it, if that makes sense. Anyways, I know that was kind of random. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Like, I guess technically, like the Pharisees were technically right, I guess, about a lot of the stuff in the law, like factually, but like their hearts were completely wrong. But anyways,
I understand that.
thank you for validating that.
I understood the reference.
Huh?
I
Steven,
think
did you say?
he said he understands the reference.
Yeah, I understood the reference.
Oh, it sounded like.
It's because my car is kind of loud.
Anyways, yeah. Let's see. Has there been a specific like? Has there been like a specific verse or section of the Bible or like topic that's really been speaking to you lately, or like really like ministering to you lately in like this past season? I know like sometimes like I'll be like, oh yeah, this is my favorite verse, and for a while because I'm going through something, and then like later like I'll be going through something else and like another passage like really stands out to me. Yeah.
Something that I contemplate on a semi-regular basis is some of the promises in John, just the promises of Jesus in general, that ask what you will, and if you believe and have no doubt, it will be done unto you. And some fairly miraculous things have happened for me, but that's a really huge promise. And I just saw something again today that I'd seen before, and I've been trying to find it, and it just showed up on my Instagram. Would you guys like to see a really crazy, wonderful healing of someone who's really deformed, and you can just watch them stop being deformed? It takes 2 minutes. Takes 2 minutes and 33 seconds.
Mom, we're not gonna be able to see it on your phone. Like,
Is this the arm?
Yes.
I've
Who
seen
said
this.
that?
It's freaky.
It's on.
I mean, it's amazing, but it's like grosses me out too.
Oh, Grace, have you seen it? La Ciencia Medica?
yeah, I've seen it.
You saw it? The woman with the arm, it's all scrunched up, and then it
Yes.
straightens out.
Yes, but Mom, can we keep it to like to your life?
Keep it to my life. What's that mean?
Like not something off Instagram. like you personally, like what you're going through.
What in your
Oh,
life is all
well-
scrunched up right
Well,
now?
why that?
Like to see the Lord.
What'd you say, Patrick?
What what part of your life is all scrunched up right now?
My lungs.
Oh no.
But that video does something for me. It's, you know, when I see that, you know, Jesus went around, he was healing person after person after person after person. I'm thinking, gosh, it would just be so awesome to witness something like that. And I got to see it. I got to see the power of God. It just blew me away. Hey, Skylar, have you seen it?
I have not seen that particular video, but I have seen similar videos.
Have
So
you seen
I'm-
it, Stephen? Let me bring it up. I'm going to show. Can you?
Mom,
I just want to see so they can look it up later. Can you read that? La Ciencia Medica. It's the medical. That's her arm right there. Can you see how her arm's all scrunched up, like from her elbow to her shoulder? It's like real
Okay.
short.
okay, Mom, that's enough of the
I just wanna
Instagram.
I just wanted them to, huh?
Moving on.
I wanted them to be able to look at it up later.
Okay, thanks.
But that moved me.
I don't know
It's
if,
not moving you.
I don't know if I have a specific one. I like pretty much live in the last third of Isaiah. A good bit. I'd say there a lot. It's just like some of those tender language that God put in the entire Bible. You know, it's incredible. But I think 63 I was just looking at, which I'm trying to like. I just got I do my city service is healing and pastoral care. And so they'll have, the way it works is the Zoom rooms will fill up with all the guests, and then the guests will be placed out in breakout rooms to get ministry. But they have to have, like, he gets a few people to volunteer, like a couple of people every week, to stay in the main room, because you're basically like just teaching these people about healing and, you know, helping them to stay encouraged and to prepare for what the Lord wants to do. So I was looking at, I think it's Isaiah chapter 63 verse 9, where it's talking about, in our affliction the Lord was afflicted, in our affliction he was afflicted, and the angel of the Lord went out to deliver them. And so I was researching that, and it actually, I get nervous about our translations sometimes, because it says in our affliction he was afflicted, but the first time it says affliction, it means affliction. The second time means strong or like a mountain. So it's a totally different word than the first time. But the idea is that when we're afflicted, you know, the Lord is strong. In our affliction, he's still strong. And so I've been trying to take that to heart, where it's like, all right, in these areas where I need healing and stuff like that, he's strong. He's mighty to save. Like, he's not worried about it. Like, he's not burdened like I am, you know? So I've been trying to draw from that a little bit, I'd say.
Any specific passage, scripture, verse for you, Sky? Or did you already share? Can't remember to mention.
No, I didn't share. I mean, you know, I mean, a passage that is kind of one of the cliche passages from the Bible, but it has always been powerful for me, including recently, is the 23rd Psalm, and like praying it in a way that is personal, like to God, you know, like not just the Lord is my shepherd, but like you're talking directly to Jesus, like, God, thank you that you're my shepherd. Thank you that, you know, I lack nothing. Thank you that you give me rest, you know, beside still green pastures, and you lead me beside waters of rest. And thank you that you restore my soul. And like having that kind of an intimate moment with him, I've done that many times, and it's very special. And then the other verse that has been on my heart a little bit today, just kind of in the context of the things that we talked about, was the things that I talked about was Matthew 11:19, which Jesus, they're criticizing Jesus because, you know, he's doing all the things that religious people aren't supposed to do. And then he basically says that wisdom is justified by her deeds, or another translation says that wisdom is, I think the NLT says, wisdom is proven right by what she chooses to do. And so, that's something that I'm like trying to take stock of and consider in light of all this stuff, like, is it wise to love someone in a way that enables them and makes their life worse? Um, is it wise to be nice and loving but avoid conflict, and therefore things get worse? Like those are examples of kind of framing that verse in the context of the stuff we've talked about.
For me, like some of the verses that have been like really standing out to me are verses like about hope. We've been going through Hebrews, and Hebrews 6:19, it talks about we have an anchor for our souls, talking about Jesus being our anchor for our souls. Then, our souls are like our mind, our will, and our emotions, like our personalities. And like just thinking about that, and I had like this image of like 3 ships out in the sea, and like how Jesus, the anchor, is able to hold all 3 of those, the mind, will, and the emotions, the 3 ships, like still like during the crazy wind and storm. And like a lot of people like think that like, oh well, like if Jesus is our anchor, then like we won't have to go through anything. I'm like, no, like that's not what it means. Like an anchor is used for when stuff is going down. Like, right, you don't use an anchor in still waters. Like why? Like you're not going to go anywhere, right? But like it's used for storms. And like thinking and realizing that, and like then there's Romans 15:13, which says something like, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace, and other stuff. Other stuff, but yeah, have you guys, well, I know Skylar, you have, has anyone seen the movie Soul? It's new by Disney. It's like the new Disney movie. Patrick, you said yeah? Yeah, Mom, you haven't? I think you would like it. So the movie Soul, it's
Is it
basically
a cartoon?
yeah, but it's really good actually. I like got a lot out of it. Like God actually, like I didn't used to watch this. I didn't used to really watch that many movies and stuff, but like lately God's been speaking to me a lot through movies, which is interesting. Like just like highlighting like certain things and like being like, "Oh, well, I'm doing this, like I'm doing this in the movie." And it's anyways. So like the premise of the movie Soul is like these unborn souls are like waiting to be ready to like go to earth, right? So like babies are born with a soul, but the souls aren't ready to be born until they find their spark. And their spark is like, it might be music, it might be sports, it might be cooking, or whatever, like that gives them their spark. And when they're like have their spark, finally they're able to like go to earth and go live. And there's this one soul that has been around for like thousands of years and has never like found their spark, and so they've never like gone to earth. And the premise of the movie is like the soul finally finding her spark, right? And I started feeling like, yeah, like I feel the same way sometimes. Like, what is my spark? Like, because I don't like when I think about like what being really into something, I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, I like some stuff. Like, I like doing this, I like doing that, but nothing is like so like big and meaningful in my life that it gives me like a reason for living. I'm just like, yeah, like sports are cool, but like that's not like enough to make life meaningful. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, I like brownies, but my reason for living isn't brownies. Like,
Like turtles.
like turtles. But you know what I'm saying? And so like the movie is also about this one guy in the movie who's like convinced his reason for living is to play piano. And anyway, so like I'm thinking, I'm just like, man, like I've been feeling like hope. I've been struggling with like hope for a while, because I'm just like, well, what's the point of all this? Like Earth sucks, and like nothing really is like all that great down here to like justify having to live through it. Like, you're born, life sucks, then you die, yay. you know, like, and I'm like, well, what is it? And then like, I realized that like, this is gonna sound super mad cheesy, guys. Like, get ready. Get ready for some epic cheese ball, like Sunday school lessons here. But like, I realized that like I was trying to find like a spark and like something in the world, like to give me like a reason. Then I realized like, no, like your spark is Jesus, right? And I'm like, I know that sounds hella cheesy. Like, my reason for living is Jesus. And it's like, yay, good job, Sunday school, you know, but like, no, but really though, like, cause nothing else matters. Like, and when you try to find your reason for living in anything else, it can be taken away or it's not fulfilling, you know. And like, obviously Disney didn't say that like Jesus is the reason for living because it's a Disney movie, but like their ultimate message was like life itself is like worth living. Like life itself is the reason for living. Like all the beautiful moments in life itself. And I'm like, and life is Jesus. Like Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, right? And like that's the only thing like that's been giving me like hope during all this crap, you know, of the world. Yeah, and I feel super cheesy just saying that. It's just like, yay, Jesus. But like, you know, I don't know. So like that's been speaking to me a lot. Like just realizing like that, and verses on hope and everything. Um, so yes.
That's super good. That's not cheesy at all.
Well, it
That's really
sounds
good.
cheesy to say, like, Jesus. You know, it's just like the classic, like, what's the answer, kids? Like, you know, it just sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the question is, but the answer is Jesus.
yeah, exactly. Like,
No,
so
I found that to be true. Like, I think for me, my proximity to God in every way stewards my general satisfaction with existing. Yeah, if I like get close to the Lord, he lets me like things. And if he causes me to, if I make him, C.S. Lewis said, if you aim at heaven, you get earth thrown in. If you aim at the earth, you get nothing. So there's this idea, like our hearts are made to be satisfied. We're made to be happy. The Bible says that God gives us all things for our enjoyment. But I've found that as long as I place him first, and I prioritize as I just stay close to him, the closer I get to him, the more beautiful my daily activities become, the more I really just enjoy myself. And if I get distant from him, or if those activities take priority with him, then they start to take on a less satisfying and more addictive nature. Yeah.
Oh, C.S. Lewis also said, like in the Screw Tape Letters, like the demons and like talking to each other, is like the key is to, oh shoot, I'm gonna say this wrong, to create an ever increasing desire for an ever diminishing pleasure. Yes, I said it right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Whew. I was like worried because you can quote him wrong because he's so eloquent. I love him. Like, I love C.S. Lewis. He's my man crush. It's getting a little hot in here. Whew, okay.
Whew, girl, turn the fan on.
No, because like, I don't know, like, just life can suck, you know, and like, there's a lot of reasons.
On Earth? The sick planet? That one?
Yeah, life can be really annoying. It's like, gosh, so what's the freaking point? Like, you know, like, we gotta pay all these bills. The kitchen is always dirty. Like, you have to eat multiple times a day and cook stuff.
Isn't that irritating?
Like, you know, it's just like, there's just always something and it's just like, what is the freaking point? Like, come on. And it's just like trying to find like some good enough thing to justify wanting to be here. And it's like, I can't really find anything. And then like the movie like really helped me like isolate the issue and be like, look, like it's not about any of this stuff. You have to find your overarching reason that like encompasses all the other stuff that's bigger, you know? And like Disney's answer was, life itself is beautiful and worth living. I'm like, yes, but Jesus is the life. Ha. So anyways, so
F you, Disney.
honestly, without Jesus, like life is pointless. Like literally there'd be no point at all.
Yeah, Disney sucks.
For some people who don't have Jesus, that they have put their meaning in life in things that are very dumb and stupid, and it's satisfying for them. But I mean, some people it's just as much money as you can get, and they think that's it. or
But then they end up killing themselves because they realize it wasn't actually meaningful.
that's what I'm saying. It works for them at first for a while, and then they realize it just wasn't enough. You get all these people who are famous, very talented, tons of money, and they commit suicide.
Yeah. I really have to pee really bad, guys.
You look like it.
Yeah, I had to do that and left a little while ago.
Do you think you guys can talk about something
Yeah.
No,
like while I go do that?
I've never been able to talk about anything before, so.
Okay, someone say something and I'll be right back.
I've literally been needing to go to the bathroom for like the last 10 minutes. And I've
Are you
been
at the
driving around
airport?
trying to, no, I've been driving around trying to find a gas station. And the first 2 gas stations I went to did not have a bathroom. So the third one finally did.
Yeah, I felt like that a good bit where like I took a lot of comfort in the idea of death. I wasn't like suicidal. I was just like stuff was so bad in my heart that I was like, it just was comforting to think like that it would be over at some point. But
Yeah, you just go to sleep and not have to deal with it anymore.
yeah, God has very much changed that in my heart where I'm like much more excited about everyday stuff. But yeah, I used to feel like that a good bit.
You know, if people did not get discouraged every once in a while like that, then I'm wondering if they're really on this planet. Because there's some serious crap that goes down. Some serious tragedies that go on here. And it can be very discouraging, especially when everything else is going wrong on top of it, or not, maybe not necessarily going wrong, but as much as it's just all mediocrity, it's just neutral, and then you got this big bleh, and just like, and after a while, it's like, it's not worth, you don't look forward to it. You're not alone.
Thanks.
You are not alone when you are lonely.
What is that?
It's a song.
From what? From what?
The radio,
What kind of radio?
Christian radio.
Broken.
A dirt radio?
Look, you. Look here, buddy.
Hey there, Hey there, partner.
Hey, pal.
Look here, Buckaroo.
Anyways. Okay. I have a hair in my mouth.
watching you discover that was delightful. Just like something's wrong. What is it? Oh no.
Here's a self-reflection question. What's one thing that you feel like you really need right now in this season? And like, what's one thing that you feel like really strong in that you have to offer to other people?
I need self. Go ahead, Patrick.
Go after you.
Nope, after you. I said it first.
I insist, ma'am.
You.
No, you must go now. I've forgotten mine already.
I'm the blonde here. Don't steal my thunder. I'm supposed to be the one forgetting stuff. All right, since you insist. I think I need more self-discipline. I have all these goals and all these changes I want to make, and it's taking a while to turn into this different person. But on the other hand, something that I think that I do have is that when I meet people, I ask them if they want to do something together, and their eyes kind of perk up, and they just seem so touched that I would care about them and like them, and then they're so grateful. We just become the best of buddies, and I think people just feel they need friends. They need to know that there's people that care about them, and they, when they see that I do, they're like so loyal and they like it. So that's one good thing I'm good at. I'm trying to find two. I don't know if I can think of two yet, but that's one. What are you shaking your head for?
I'm just
Me?
laughing at you
Oh,
Because
because it's funny.
how is it funny?
You said that you can't think of two things, and it was funny.
Good, because that was my attempt at humor. I might have two things, but that's one. But I just find that people, I mean, all I do is say, hey, I'm having lunch here at my house after church. You want to come? And they go, really? And then I'll call them up and see how they're doing. They're like, and they tell me there's just, and then they're like just so loyal because I paid attention to them. But I thought that's what people do, but apparently they don't as much. They like it anyway.
Patrick,
I need to go to the gym more. I do. It just kind of resets my emotions and makes me feel really good. But I am so wiped after school because like I said, I work at 6 a.m. pretty much every day. So I'm trying to figure out how to get that more where it's like not just on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, but actually where I'm actually going consistently. I want to go. It's not like an issue of like, oh, I'm just being lazy. I don't feel like working out today. I want to go, but I'm just so tired.
are you a
But
morning person?
yeah, I am, but my gym opens at 4:30, but I work at 6, so I would have like almost no time to shower and get ready for work. Which I might rework my schedule and be able to get there early. But I think I offer joy to people. I think that's generally what I carry. Sometimes I say stuff that it is me saying a normal thing like a normal boy, and people will just be laughing, and I'm confused. I'm like, I just told you that I had graham crackers for breakfast, or I just told you something really, really simple and not funny, and people will just start laughing. So I think that's something I offer folks.
Because
There
it
it is.
is funny, like the way
There
you
it is.
say like normal stuff in a funny way.
Thank you.
Or he says interesting stuff in a normal way, but it's not normal. So most people don't have graham crackers for breakfast.
I'm on keto right now, so it sucks. It's good though. I eat a lot of cheese.
Is keto like no carbs?
Keto's when you stop eating carbs completely, like or have like under 50 grams of net carbs, so like sugar. It's good. My mind has leveled out. My energy levels have leveled out. I'm about sick of ground beef and eggs, but I'm losing weight and I have more energy, so that's a good thing for sure.
I guess keto's never going to happen to me.
Yeah, I love
I'm a
pasta.
carb queen.
I like pasta so much. I would rather eat pasta right now than hold a woman's hand.
See, it's stuff like that, Patrick, that's funny.
If I had the choice right now between spending a delightful evening with a beautiful woman and having a pound of pasta, I think I would. I don't know. Probably the pasta, to be honest with you.
What about having a wonderful evening with a woman over pasta?
Don't play with my emotions. That's too much goodness for one man. Stuff like that doesn't exist, okay?
I just had a lady over for pasta, but it wasn't that relating.
Oh
She's
man.
out there somewhere. And she's gonna make me pasta, and I'm gonna probably faint from happiness.
Ugh.
Anyway.
What if you can make pasta out of beef?
Well, you can do bolognese, which is it's probably my favorite. It's just you put half a pound of ground beef or turkey or something, just a minced meat in the sauce. That's pretty good. But they have mirakuru, which is made out of yam starch. It's 0 carb, 0 calorie noodles that you can buy on the internet. But I heard it also can totally block your intestines. So
Yeah, sort of like sponge.
yeah, I heard it can
0
cause
calories, kills you.
very bad block up. Somebody just stepping on the hose. All right, I will mute myself now.
Oh, Skylar, what do you need? What do you have to offer, if anything, really?
He can reach things on the top shelf for you.
He can
Not
tell us
wrong.
he can tell us what the weather is like up there.
Never heard that one before.
Never.
Skylar's like 7'12". That's why we're joking.
That would be 8 feet.
No, I like 7'12" a lot better.
He said, I've never. He said,
Better
good,
math.
good joke, guys. Great
Hey,
joke.
she's good at mathing.
Uh,
What do
Are
I
you
need?
7 foot? Are you 7 foot?
No, I'm 6'7".
same thing.
7 foot
That's like
12?
that'd be like me being like, what are you, 3 feet tall? You know? And you're like, no, I'm 5'4", and I'm like, same thing.
You know what's really fun? Roller coasters. Guess you'll never
Yeah.
get to know.
I've gone on a few, but I'm careful about like leaning my arms out too far, especially when they're like going underneath things and whatnot. Yeah.
Could be terrible.
I don't have that problem.
What do I need? Probably discernment, wisdom, discernment. What do I have to offer? Usually encouragement. I've been told that that's something that I am able to offer to people.
I think
So,
you're very caring and helpful and generous and
thank
pleasant.
you. Thank you, Stacey. I appreciate that.
That's what I think of when I think of you.
It's very sweet.
Just a hand holding moment. Should I bring pasta?
I'm holding my hand right now.
At least a pound of
At
pasta.
least a pound per person.
pound of pasta and a liter of cola.
Oh,
Per
speaking
capita.
of pasta.
Today I read a thing that said you never actually wash your hands. They wash each other while you watch.
I saw that too, and I was like, wow, I feel uncomfortable.
Made me so uncomfortable.
Steven.
Speaking of pasta, do you guys have an Aldi's out there?
No, we don't. The closest one is like 3 hours away, unfortunately.
There's also not a Panera, and I'm like upset.
I like Panera.
I'm literally losing it. I'm like, I have gift cards to Panera and there's no Panera to be had.
Is that legal?
It's very upsetting.
Maybe that could be your calling. Maybe you could start a Panera franchise in Reading.
No, it's
That's what you
not.
have to offer.
A billionaire.
What, Steven?
So that's what you have to offer.
What?
I have to offer these views of the city and the sunset that I'm late to.
Oh,
That's awesome, man.
That's
Wow.
cool.
It looks really dark. I was super late.
shocking. You late? Never.
Only because I needed to use the bathroom. And
Your needs.
the first 2 gas stations I went to didn't have a bathroom, which was super rude.
Super rude. You and your needs, Steven. You always need something.
Hey. You know,
If I was a dude, I would just be peeing wherever.
I'm not gonna pee in my car.
In like other parts of the world, that's a thing. Like in
They do.
Europe, Africa, you just pull your car on the side of the road, pee in the ditch. You know?
Right.
It's like no big deal.
I would totally do
Yeah.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
I grew up in Belize, and then I had to learn you can't do that in America.
Well, you can, just don't let people see you.
Well, I guess I wasn't as discerning as that when I was 7 years old in the States.
Mm.
Hey, Patrick,
Ma'am.
this is for you. This is pasta. Oh,
Stop.
it's not real focused, is it?
Stop.
It's ravioli, and
No.
it's got sun-dried tomatoes in it and garlic, and it comes, or you can get like
Mm.
the whole, and it costs $1.69, and by the time you cook it, it makes about 5 servings.
Yeah.
And it comes with the hand of a beautiful woman.
Mm.
Oh, stop!
I feel feelings of weirdness.
Patrick.
My.
It's great with Alfredo sauce
Mm.
and sun-dried tomatoes, and then an avocado cut up on the side and some broiled roasted Brussels sprouts.
That sounds delightful.
Carrots.
I'm gonna eat. I think I'm eating fish today for dinner, but it's good. I feel good losing weight. I'm sure my pasta days will come back one day. One day when the Lord finally loves me.
That'll never happen. So
Well, it's all because of God's love. you know.
SOL.
spiritually out of luck. SOL.
But
Yeah.
isn't an apple healthier to eat than a bunch of cheese, which has got a lot of fat and a lot of calories in it?
Well, I eat a good bit of vegetables and nuts. So I do have like a balance of healthy fats in with my, and I don't just eat, well, I kind of do eat just like a bunch of cheese, but I balance it out. I'll eat like asparagus and cashews and all that good stuff. But I feel like I'm in a good place, finally losing weight, which is good. Bad news for the ladies.
Watch out, women.
Watch out, ladies in their
How much have
late
you lost?
20s and early 30s, or maybe mid 30s if you're really pretty.
What about the cougars? Wow.
Okay, I have to go now. I just think thank you guys for such a fun time.
I feel very.
Did I scare him off?
Did he literally leave?
He literally did. Was he thinking I was serious? I was going to grab him through the screen.
He's just being funny.
Oh,
Wait, Patrick, how old are you?
34.
Oh, you're the same. No, Skylar's 35. I lied.
and I'm 39.
Grace is so uncomfortable.
It's like, anyway, so. Nah.
So I'm not sure I want to hear the story of where Grace came from.
Oh.
Can we not?
I was a young
Yes,
mother.
please. I don't know what this is, but please.
That was just me popping that balloon, saying, you know what? No. Maybe revise that up just a little bit, so that's at least
All right, I'm 49 then.
at least biologically plausible.
49 and a half.
Anyways,
Gotta go put
moving
this back in the
right
kitchen.
along. All the strengths that we mentioned. Steven, you didn't mention your strengths.
There he is.
I guess chill vibes. I don't know.
Positive vibes.
Okay, I hate when people say that. Choose something else.
You hate the word chill vibes?
Like, it's just like, what are you? It's just so like modern thing to say. Like, you know, I'm like, oh, stop it. Sending good vibes your way. I'm like, what? How do you send a vibe my way? Like, no, it's called prayers. Okay, stop. Sorry, continue.
Chill vibes.
No, really, Steven. Dig deep into your soul. What strengths do you have?
Chill vibes.
Oh, Steven, I'm gonna punch in the
I
throat.
don't know. I
You
don't
need-
know. I don't think about this. Okay.
You need to think about it. It's false humility.
To not think about it.
Yes. God's given you certain gifts, strengths, and abilities. Pretending they aren't there isn't humble.
That might be all you're going to get out of Steven there, Grace. I think you're
All
going
right,
to have to.
Steven.
I'm
You
good
have
at
been-
stuff.
What?
Like I'm good at stuff. But
That's
like,
very specific. Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I can cook. I can drive pretty well. I can program. I don't know. It's like anything. Like I feel like whatever I need to do, like I can do it well.
Yeah, I'm talking about who you are, though, not what you do.
That's who I am. I know stuff. I do stuff.
You're not what you do. You are who you are.
Just is chill, Grace.
Skylar, I'm gonna need you to stop.
I mean, if you need vibes that are chill, talk to
Which
Steven.
clearly it seems like you do. You know what? Let me just send some chill vibes your way.
I'm literally gonna hang
That
up.
should fix things up. That should fix things up for you.
I just muted him.
Grace, can you lower your voice? You're getting a little bit agitated.
Wow.
Hey, Steven, I've known you for a few years now, and I find you to be one of my favorite people because you do so much for other people that I just think you're a very courteous, caring person. When Grace passed her test, you had that awesome party. When my computers went wacko with that Windows 10 thing and they all blew up, you spent the time to help me get my computers running. When I was by there, you helped me get let me borrow the your travel on suitcase. And when I was trying to help Grace with that gate, you were jumping in and getting us tools and helping us do it. And every time I see you, you're just so accommodating and helpful, and you're just a genuine, good, kind, loving person.
Aw.
Thank you. I don't know. For me, that's fun to like help people solve their problems or help people with stuff. That's just fun for me. Like, I don't even think that's work. It's just like, oh, this is cool.
Being who you are isn't work. It's just being who you are.
You're very helpful, and you act genuinely pleased to see somebody. Well, I'm talking about for me, because a lot of people see me like, oh, it's that old lady, but you don't think of me as an old lady. I'm just a person, and you're nice to me, and I like it.
Well, you're fun to be around.
Oh, stop! Cut it out, quit.
Look at Grace.
Poor Grace. She's like, I can't do it.
We all talk about how awesome all of us are. Let's everyone give everyone else 3 juicy compliments.
Well, I think I'm obviously the best. So
Not sure what part of everyone else you didn't understand there, Grace.
I think it was the L part that she missed.
She's like, I will start by complimenting myself, obviously.
I'm a tall glass of water.
You okay over there? You ever have a glass of water before, Grace?
I just snorted it out.
Oh,
Ow.
it burns.
Ugh. Okay.
And Patrick, I don't want you to feel left out because I did the other 2. And I didn't do you either, Grace. But when I went out to California and I was meeting Gracie's friends, I just found you the most interesting and amusing person to engage with, because your mind is very sharp, and it's out there, and it's outside of the box, and you have a good sense of humor, and your delivery is just very enjoyable. And I remember getting in the car with Grace, and I like that Patrick guy. He's just amazing. You're really, I love your personality.
Thank
You're
you.
fun to be with. You kind of keep things sparky and keep people on their toes.
Thank you. That's super kind of you to say. I really appreciate that.
And you're just very smart and very funny.
Thank you. Thanks.
And Grace, I can't think of anything to say about you. Grace, you know I've been your best cheerleader all your life, right?
Yeah, I don't need you to say anything right now.
Yeah,
It's
you
fine.
already know. You already know. I brag on you to your face all the time.
I think we just need to go for another hour just saying the most awesome things about everyone, you know? Patrick's like,
Thinking. I gotta go play some video games at some point. I think you're really smart, Grace. Oh, monsters. I think you're really smart. Sorry, I'm multitasking.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. No, I enjoy listening to your theology. That's super fun. I think that's something you bring, and you have a drive to talk about it and draw it out of other people. I think that's wonderful. But you're also really good at producing it yourself, and I think that's really rare and admirable.
I mean,
You got a good brain, sister. Look at that brain.
I have the juiciest of brains.
Oh, that word makes me so
It's very moist.
juicy. Makes me more uncomfortable than moist. Juicy brain makes me hungry for candy.
What are we even saying right now? Okay, the point of this whole thing was, before we got derailed somewhere, was all the strengths that we have, like God's given to us, right? Like we can't boast that like, oh, well, I'm the best because I'm this. It's like, well, God made you that way, right? It's like complimenting the painter on a magnificent painting he's made, right? Like you had nothing to do with it, like he did it, right? And so like what's holding us back from using our gifts to full potential for the kingdom? Like let's say with Skylar or encouragement or whatever, like I mean, none of us are using our full potential, so it's not a condemnation of anyone. But like, what is it that holds you back from using all the skills and gifts that you have to the utmost?
Distractions and discouragement.
What did you say?
Distractions
Oh, distractions.
and discouragement. And lack of efficient time use, which would be distractions.
Yeah, I struggle with that too. I struggle with a lot of idealism where it's like I won't start until my conditions are perfect, and that conditions don't become perfect, and so I don't start.
That's what I meant by discouragement.
Say what?
Yeah, I mean, you're agreeing with my discouragement. That would be discouraging you. You're not good enough.
Sure.
You're not ready. You can't do it until this is done. Then you might be able to pull it off.
Sky?
I mean, just getting bogged down in, the cares of the world and issues and challenges and lists and, and then sometimes feeling like what you do isn't really going to make that much of an impact, and so it's obviously nonsense, because if everyone believed that, nothing would ever happen. But it can be a struggle, to get over that hump sometimes.
Yeah, something I feel like that holds me back a lot is the lie of inadequacy. Like I don't know why, but like I always struggle with like feelings of inadequacy. Like, and I don't know if it's just because of like a perfectionistic thing or like I don't know. But one of the things that I heard someone say, I don't know who said it, but someone was like, the devil likes to attack you in the areas of your greatest anointing. So like if you're meant to be a leader, like he will make you feel super inadequate, right? Because he doesn't want you operating in the areas that you're actually like destined for, right? So like for me, like since a young age, like purity was always super important to me, and it like just like it just mattered a lot, and so I was heavily attacked in that area, and like on the other side of it now, realizing like I do carry a lot of purity, and that's like why the devil attacked me so much in that area, because actually I carry that, like that's something that like I have a lot of anointing in, and like the other thing that people keep telling me is like they see me as like a leader or whatever, and I'm like, ew, no, gross. Like I don't want to. Like, you know, like even when I was in high school, like in the junior ROTC program, which is like this like pretend well, it's not really, well, it is pretend, like pretend military, like you get to pretend to be like in the army or whatever.
Military for kids.
So, yeah, like I didn't want to be in leadership positions, even though like the teachers kept wanting to put me into them, because I was like, I felt really scared and nervous and like very small and like inadequate. And, like I didn't want to like mess up or like, you know, just look stupid. Like, I don't know. And so like anyways, so like that's something to think about, like the areas that you feel the most insecure or like the least prepared or like whatever, like oftentimes it's because the devil doesn't want you operating in your gift set that you have, and so he attacks you in that area. But it's actually the opposite is true, that you're actually very gifted in whatever it is that you feel insecure about. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, you get discouraged.
Yeah.
I was in JROTC also.
Oh, you were? Neat.
Yeah. I went to military school. So it was like not just an activity, it was my life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because like people will see stuff in you that you don't see in yourself. You know, people just like, oh, Grace, like, can you lead out in this? And I'm like, ew, no, like, gross. Why? But like, I keep finding like myself in these like roles, and I'm like, dang it, maybe, maybe they're right, you know, type of thing. And just having to realize like that feeling of inadequacy is more of an attack than an actual like, than an actual like thing that's real. Like the feeling isn't real, like it's just a feeling. It's not like a true identity thing, you know.
So you're saying that feelings aren't reality?
Sometimes they're not.
So what you're saying yeah, the devil likes to use our emotions a lot. So anywho, anybody else, something, what's holding you back?
Ourselves.
Can you elaborate?
Well, it's kind of like summarizing what everybody's already said, is that we can have some aspirations and some dreams and some goals, but what's holding us back is ourselves. We are telling ourselves that we're not good enough, we're not ready, we can't do it, we're not perfect, we can't pull it off. We just believe that we can't do it, so we don't get started. Or
So it's false beliefs, really.
pretty much our false beliefs. Yeah.
And who's the father of lies?
Bad boy.
Satan.
Good job, Patrick. You get a gold star.
Really?
It can also be bad habits, not good time management, piddling your life away on stupid, meaningless things that suck us into, whether it's, everybody knows all the stuff that they get sucked to, social media,
stupid
playing
video
video
games.
games, shopping, or whatever it is. And we hold those things have got a grip on us, and we're having a hard time letting go. And time management can change our accomplishments, because anything that's worth doing takes some time, and if we waste our time on meaningless things, then time just flies by and you haven't got started, or you haven't gotten far enough because you're spending your time and your priorities on the wrong things. And there's a lot in this world that's competing for our attention and our time and our energy and our focus. And we have to learn discernment and how to wake up to those things. What things are we, if we look back over the last few months, weeks, year, whatever, that has just piddled our life away, and we didn't accomplish what we're trying to accomplish because we're just wasting it on other stuff.
Liv Steven.
I guess what's holding me back is just like a drive, like I don't know, a goal. I feel like I'm just like floating. Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
That's real.
Like, if I know what I'm supposed to be doing, like I'll do it. But like, I'm like, what am I supposed to do right now? Does anybody else feel like that?
Yes. Well, I felt like that for a while. The Lord took me through a process where I just felt really aimless. And I'm still in that to an extent, but maybe it doesn't bother me as much. But also, I think I'm starting to get more definition. But it just came from really crying out to God, like, what am I doing here? What do you want me to do? And eventually he started answering that prayer, but it's tough.
Mm. Mm. This is gonna sound super cheesy and like a Hallmark card, but like it's not always about the destination, it's about the journey, and like Patrick, you're like no, but really it's not like oh, we have to do this one thing in our lives, and if we don't do it, we've missed it. Like the goal of our lives is him, right? So like whatever it is we're doing, if we're getting closer to him, then we're doing the thing, right? So like that might look like however it looks. And
The thing?
Huh?
The thing?
Yeah, the thing.
Are you Biden? The thing.
Anyways, like God is the GPS, right? So like we don't have to worry about like missing it. Like he'll just recalculate you.
God positioning system, is that what you mean?
God positioning, like he's like, okay, we turned here, well, recalculate. Like, like we don't have to worry about. Okay, so driving brings me a lot of stress, right? Those of you who know me, like driving is hella stressful. I don't know if I could do it before the GPS. Like if I had to like look at maps and stuff, heck no. Like no.
Thank you. I'll stay home.
There's nothing more stressful to me than like being on a road, having no idea where I'm going or like where I am or how to get to somewhere else. Like I'm just like panicking. I'm like, okay, where am I? Like I'm just driving.
I mean, that's why women aren't allowed to drive in many parts of the world, because they can't be trusted on the road.
Okay.
Oh, I cannot
Anyways.
follow you. I cannot follow you, Skylar, into these jokes. I'm not allowed.
But yeah, that's very stressful to me. Like I literally go into full panic. Like when I'm like, I don't know where I am. Like I'm driving 70 miles an hour and I'm like panicking. Like, where do I turn? Where am I? Like the sense of being lost and like not having any way of getting, like I couldn't do it without a GPS. Like having a GPS calms my anxiety so much because I know like even if I turn wrong, like I'll get back to wherever I'm going eventually. Right. And like that's like what God is. Like we can't miss it. Right. Like it's not like we have to go this very specific route. Like life is about getting to know him and being with him. So whatever it is we're doing, we can do that. So I don't know if that's comforting at all.
Yeah, I was talking to God, and like one thing that he said to me is that like, just do something. Like I'll let you know if what you're doing, if I don't want you to do what you're gonna do. But just like make a goal, set goals, like do stuff. Don't just like float. And if you're doing something that you shouldn't do, I'll let you know. Like he assured me that, because that's one thing like that like worries me is like, if I do something, is it something I'm not supposed to do or supposed to do? And like God just assured me, like if this is something that you're not supposed to do, I'll let you know. So that's comforting.
Yeah, the other thing is like I think we get too hung up on like what are we supposed to do? Like it's not like a moral issue, right? It's not like you're thinking like, should I murder this person today or not? It's like that's obvious. Huh?
You don't know me.
Okay, but like you see what I'm saying? Like we get really hung up on things that aren't like really moral issues. Like Like, we're not saying like, should I like break a commandment today? Like, should I go should I go rob a bank today or not? We're like, should I pursue this job or this job? Right? That's not like a moral issue, right? So it's not like wrong in the sense that you're like sinning, or that like God's gonna be disappointed, or that like it's wrong in that sense. Like, I feel like we get so caught up on things like that, like freaking out by making the wrong decision. I'm like, well, what do you mean by wrong? Because there's no real wrong, like, in the situation, right? Like, if you go this way and like God has a specific plan for you, like he'll bring you back. Like, you know, it's like you can't you can't make a mistake big enough that is gonna stump God. He's like, oh well, I don't know, you're SOL now. Like, I don't know what you're gonna do. Like, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to keep that in mind though sometimes, at least for me.
Yeah, I'm just like, there's not really wrong. Like, you can't like choose wrong in the sense that like we're not talking about like moral issues. Like, it's not like you choose wrong, went out, you're out. Like, God's like, well, you had your chance. Like,
I'm agreeing. I think some people think that God has this intention of micromanaging every single aspect of your
Oh
life.
yeah.
And like, if you go out and go get a job and people are saying, I've been praying about whether God wants me to have this job or not, and I'm just not getting an answer. And it's just like, maybe he doesn't care what kind of job you have, unless it's going to hurt you really badly in some way or whatever. I mean, like, so like when, you know, as a parent, you want your kids to learn how to get dressed by themselves. And for the most part, you don't care what they pick out and if it matches, but you might step in and tell your kid that, okay, like there's 3 feet of snow outside, you can't wear your flip-flops and your shorts and your tank top, just wear something warmer. So the same thing is like, if you want to get a job, if the job is something that you would like, and there's lots of them out there that you would like, and if they would pay the bills, and they would all pay the bills, he doesn't care. Unless it's a job and you find out that it's for the mafia and they're going to end up killing you, then he might give you a little message and say, don't do that one. So sometimes people feel like God just isn't telling them what to do. It's like, because about some things, he just doesn't care. He trusts your judgment. He gives us the freedom, the power of choice. And if we have the desire to go to this university or that one, he's happy that you're happy. He doesn't care which one, unless there's something really specific. Then he's silent because he's trusting your judgment. He wants you to use your power of choice in your brain. And I think some people anguish too much that God's not micromanaging your life enough, and you're not getting all these telegrams of what you're supposed to do about every single thing.
well, that brings up
Really good.
two key points.
Yeah.
Is that one, people always think, oh well, how can we know God's will? Like, God's will is mysterious. I'm like, false. We have the mind of Christ, right? We are united with him. His presence lives inside of us. There's so many verses that say like, you are transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may know his good and perfect will. We're supposed to know his will. Like, he talks to us, he has a relationship with us. The thing that Jesus said, where he was like, servants don't know what their masters are doing, but now you are sons and you're like basically included in like the family business, right? So like, God's will isn't like this mysterious thing we have to figure out. Like we have the mind of Christ, right? Like, so like we are able to know his will, number one. Number two is this brings up an issue of like, people say like, well, everything happens for a reason, right? Thinking that God is up there in heaven, like micromanaging everything and like playing chess and moving all the chess pieces, and like whatever happens, it must have been God's will, right? And then that gets into really weird, like, oh well, this person died and is sick, well, everything happens for a reason, must be God's will. I was like, no, like God's will isn't always done on earth, right?
That's why we ask for it too.
Like, if it was, everyone would be saved and everyone would not be the way that they are, you know, like
God's will was that we would have a perfect environment and we would be sinless. Well, that didn't go as planned.
right. So like, we have to be
Not
careful.
God's will that everybody dies, but they do.
So we have to be careful, like when asking ourselves like, oh, like what should I do, what's God's will, is understanding like those two things and not letting it get weird.
Yeah, I feel like God's been telling me, just take ownership of your life. Like, it's yours. You know what I mean? Like, take ownership for your decisions.
Yeah. He doesn't want to tell you what to do. You're supposed to be able to figure it out with your brain and your values.
God didn't make a bunch of robots.
It's sort of like that. That's almost like a codependency thing. It's like, you won't learn how to use your brain and make good decisions. You want God to make every single decision for you. You can grow and use your own wisdom. And if you make a mistake, get back on the path.
Keep
God
boot.
doesn't want to become codependent. He's like, you figure it out yourself.
Like,
Some
man
things
up,
you-
bruh. And I quote, thus saith the Lord, man up, thy brethren.
We really do need to write our own Bible.
We've been talking for so many months about like making our own like ghetto translation. It'd be so wonderful.
There's already a British one. It's called The Word on the Street. Genesis. But it's in British slang, so I didn't understand it until I realized it was only it was British. But Genesis 1:1 is. Have I told you guys this yet?
No.
I think
It's,
you alluded to it, but go ahead.
Genesis 1:1 is first off, there was nothing on the scene. Nada, zero, zilch. Second off, God comes on the scene and whap! Stuff everywhere.
Does not say that.
I promise you, I memorized it verbatim. That is a version of the Bible called the Word on the Streets Bible. It is a treasure of
There was
humanity.
stuff everywhere.
Whap! Stuff everywhere.
What's it
I
called?
love the accent too.
Word on the street.
Word on the Street Bible. It's an amazing thing.
Do you
to
have one?
behold. No, I used to, but I don't know where I lost it.
Amazon, I'm sure has it.
Okay, yeah.
It's amazing.
He doesn't have one. He is one.
Anyways, this has been fun. This has been good. I feel like it was good to just take some time to just catch up, connect, talk about our lives a little bit instead of just being heavy into Hebrews. Just, a nice break. What'd you guys think?
I enjoyed
like
it.
it.
Do you still want your money back, Steven?
Yeah, I want 100% refund.
The check is in the mail.
Yeah, and the U.S. Postal Service is taking like 4 weeks to deliver anything. So, anyways, I have to start getting ready to go coach gymnastics. So,
Well, I have another Vespers to go to after this, so I'm actually already late.
you all don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
I'm gonna play video games. Can I pray? Can I pray for people?
No, we don't do that
Very
here.
quickly. Oh, nuts.
Yeah, that's not.
I'll just send good vibes then.
Oh no!
All right.
A man after my own heart.
Lord Jesus, I thank you so much for this group, God, and we thank you that to you, Father, our journey is beautiful. And God, we ask you to come, and that we just ask that you will come like a kind and gentle Father, and that your hands will be under our hands, Lord, that you'll lead us and guide us into those victories we want, those things we want to see in our lives, God, that nearness to you that we want to perceive in every situation, Father. You said in your word that in your light, God, we see light. So we ask for your perspective about all these things. And we thank you, Jesus, that you died so that we could walk into abundance and victory in all these areas. And Father, you're faithful to accomplish the things that you started in us until the day of Christ Jesus. So we bless my brothers and sisters today. We thank you for this awesome time. And we agree on this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 That was beautiful. Thank
Oh,
you.
wait a minute, a woman.
I actually no, I'm not gonna. A monster. A dog.
A they.
A babies.
Can you believe they actually did that? Amen.
Yeah, I
And
can.
Yeah, I can actually, sadly. All right. I've got a giggity
Bye,
go.
everybody.
Toodaloos.
Hi,
Adios.
guys.
Peace out.
Peace.